One problem you run into when you've got a billion hours in Satisfactory is you tend to stop building factories and your save file turns into a vision. And the problem with having a vision is sometimes you have to do absolute ridiculous things to make it all fit. My name's Ollie and welcome to Barely Building. Last time we built this absolutely towering waste can to house our uranium waste processing, which is really starting to make this area come together. But it's just an empty shell for now, so let's start filling this thing up. Before we dive in, as usual, we do a quick flyby on the community wall, where we only have 2 spaces left for community wall 1.0. The support on the channel has been absolutely amazing. I can't believe how fast we filled this up. So just comment I subbed and sub to the channel, and I'll get your name up in them last 2 slots for the OG wall, where you guys will be immortalized out here forever. And then next, we can make a start on the community room, which is this nice big open space that we've got prepared just for this, where we're going to have Twitch subs, YouTube members eventually. It's going to look really good down here. So back inside the waste can, the first job we've got to deal with is water. And we need about 5,600 meter cubed once the byproduct maths all settles out. And conveniently, we have a ton of water right inside the build. So first things first, let's get this floor raised up a little bit. And I don't really want a ton of pumps running up on all the pipes. We need a lot of water extractors. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a single water extractor. And this pipe can get pumped all the way to the top, loop back over and run back down. Now this water will never actually get used. It's just going to be used to pressurize all of these other pipes. It's going to allow us to transport water as high up the build as we want without having to use any more pumps. Then it's just a case of snapping these extractors in nice and neatly onto these foundations. If we fully overclock them, they'll fill up a 600 pipe. Attach in our pressurizing pipe along the top here. Repeat that a bunch more times, and all of our water is nice and prepped, ready to move up into all the machines that are going to need them. Next up is logistics. The original plan was to bring everything in on train cars, but when we start looking at the space that we've got available, I don't think that's going to be possible. So we're going to grab our iron and our copper locally, and then we're going to use the train to bring in the limestone, the coal, the sulfur, and the nitrogen gas. So let's start to the north. We have 2 pure limestone nodes we can get here and fully overclock for 1200 a minute each, and then 1950 nitrogen coming down here from this node. And nitrogen gas is easy. Gas rises, so we've got no head lift issue, and gas is compressed really nicely. So we're taking 480 nitrogen gas and compressing that down to 120 per minute with the packaging. Makes it really easy to transport. We've got a bit of a self-balancing loop around here just to balance out the nitrogen between the packages. And we're going to send the gas bottles back to be recycled and reused. And I might as well show you the stupid plan now while I'm here. We're going to build this factory as if we already have Mark 6 belts unlocked. And we're going to come back and upgrade them later. And nothing about that plan is going to backfire. Absolutely nothing. Anyway, now it's time to head south. There's a sulfur node over this way that we can pick up, as well as some coal. And then a little further up, there's another sulfur node to fill up the rest of the sulfur, plus the last of the nitrogen that we need. But first things first, we're on to the big problem for today's episode. I have this whole area here set aside for a massive phase 4 continuous space elevator factory. So running a train through this section is completely out of the question, which means we need to come up with a nice way of getting a train from here to here. Now, we could just run a foundation across here and just run a train line, but that's not the Barely Building way. So let's cross this area by building a massive suspension bridge that all of our trains can run across. And naturally, our friend the blueprinter is going to be a big help with this. So this is the initial design for the towers. We're going to need 2 towers on each side that's going to support the suspension bridge. I've tried to use a bit of the Fix-It orange in here, with a bit of the Barely Building blue. We've got some frame foundations supported by small concrete pillars, and we've half nudged out some frame pillars just to give it a little bit of detail. So we'll use this foundation for a base, and we can just grab our blueprint, stick that in, and this is what we end up with, which looks a little bit strange by itself, but let's keep cooking for now. Bridge wise, I like the idea of wrapping rails in a steel frame. We've used some metal beams for the supports, which was nice and easy as we're exactly 40 meters long. Got some very basic detailing going on, as we don't want to go too crazy. And we can quite easily snap these in place using the blueprint mode and using our little foundation here as a guide. And with that, we've got the rudimentary basic design of the bridge in place. The next thing we've got to figure out is how we suspend this bridge between all these towers. And this is the kind of design that we went with for these. I tried a few different things with braided cables, but I just didn't like it. It just did not look good. The way I did this is just with a big pillar support and a big concrete pillar on either end. Grabbed a beam from the center in freeform mode, aimed it kind of at the pillar that we want, zooped down a concrete pillar, and then just checked, do we like where it's connecting? Whereas this one looks good. That's fine, we can slap that one in. And then it was just a case then we can lock that into there, nudge it up to the next height, and then we end up with exactly the same angle, and we can run that again. With a few tweaks to the paintwork, this is looking really, really cool now. And I really like this method of using back-to-back big pillar supports to anchor them into the floor. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know if you like it. I'm quite happy with it. So now it's time to move on. And it was just a case now of running this massive train line over to the pit, where we scoop up some coal and some limestone and some sulfur before following the train line up through the forest. And this is where we can scoop up the last little bit of sulfur that we need, as well as the last bit of nitrogen. Whoever from Coffee Stain decided to put this nitrogen node on a slope, thank you. You made this so easy to look good. But we've gone with a kind of hose technique. Hopefully this doesn't look too ridiculous. I kind of like it. Feeds into a few packages. That ships off the packaged nitrogen gas, and then we'll bring the empty canisters back in on this line down here. This will all get brought back into this second train line, which will finish off this floor of the base. And honestly, how good does this view look when we leave? We got that bridge in the distance there. This world is really starting to come together. And that does wrap up today's episode. So yeah, what do you guys think of the bridge? Next time, we're going to begin Stupid Plan Mark II, turning on all the nuclear reactors we need for this build, and dangerously stockpiling uranium waste so that we can test out these factories. I'm planning 96 storage containers as a buffer, which is going to give us about 50 hours to get that factory finished before we fill up and we overflow with uranium waste. It's going to get messy. If you're enjoying the series, please drop a comment saying that you subbed and I'll get your name up on the new community walls. But until then, guys, I will see you in the next one.